Thank you. So I think we'll go ahead and start on time. Happy Friday, and thanks for joining us. We've got some good news to share, and we just wanted to get everybody up to date on what the city has been working on this week. We've been working really hard. So on our safe and healthy holiday season plan, and I think a lot of people could use some good news right now. So I want to start by just acknowledging that I am fully aware, and I've heard from a lot of people this week who are frustrated and are experiencing a lot of pain, who are working through a lot of their struggles with the new restrictions and the closure of some of our businesses. So I wanted to acknowledge that. I know that this is not an easy time for so many people, and that's why today the city is very excited to be able to share some good news with the community after a tough week and as we head into the weekend. I also want to be very clear that public safety and health is the number one priority. It's the number one priority, has been through COVID, and it's certainly the number one priority as we continue marching forward during this time. Everything that we're going to talk about today is following and emphasizing current local and state public health guidelines. So that is the number one rule for my team when they are brainstorming and creating action plans and events and activities, that public health and safety has to come first. So in light of all of that, we did have some simple goals that we wanted to create a COVID safe and family-friendly environment in the things that we are planning, that we want to support the collective health of our community, and that we also want to support the sustainability of our businesses citywide. We have been working with public health officials to develop COVID compliant activities, that we're creating safe alternatives so that people can enjoy the holiday season. And then, of course, we're always, in everything that we plan and create, following the current public health guidance. So let's talk about where we are and where we are going. So this week, we met with a lot of business leaders, business districts, and associations about how the city can help them during this time. And they made it very clear that they need our help in communicating to the community and to customers that they are following public health guidelines, and that we need to make sure that people know that they can safely go to our businesses and use online and curbside and in-store options. They also want help in reassuring their customers that local businesses are following the guidance and communicating to customers that local businesses are doing their part. So there are some things that we have learned in the past in our COVID recovery, and that is that we can do events very safely, like we did 4th of July. Our Parks Department did a great job in working with partners in creating a safe event for families that could do a drive-in fireworks display. And also the farmers markets. Kendall Yards continue to operate their farmers market as many other neighborhoods did during the summertime. And so we want to be able to learn from many of those events as we create new events moving forward. So in that light, we are partnering with local vendors to host a winter marketplace at the pavilion that will be like a farmer's market, because farmers markets are considered essential during COVID. We will have that event every Wednesday from 3 to 7 p.m. during the months of December and January. We have nearly 20 vendors and 2 food trucks that will operate at the pavilion, some inside, some outside. And we think that's going to be a really exciting thing to draw people downtown and to help some of our local vendors in the process as well. And we've been working with the Spokane Regional Health District to make sure that that marketplace is COVID compliant and is meeting safety protocols. We're also creating a very attractive downtown with some lighting shows, one of them in Riverfront Park. We will kick off November 27th, which is a Friday, through a virtual tree lighting celebration, our Riverfront Park Holiday Tree Walk. that will operate through the new year. And we've also expanded a Trail of Lights holiday display at Riverfront Park that begins December 1st and runs through New Year. So that's a walkable event that is outside, that is safe for families, safe for our community. And then we've been getting some inquiries about Manitou Park, because Manitou Park has a very popular holiday light show in the conservatory. We're not able to do that inside this year, but we are working on plans to have a drive-through holiday light show at Manitou, and we'll have more of the details coming very soon on that. Other events that we're looking at outside, we're continuing to work with the health department to open the Numerica skate ribbon. That was set to open today, but with new restrictions, we want to make sure that whatever we do in opening up the ice ribbon, that it is healthy and safe for our community. And then we've got some other fun events that we're creating virtually. Recreational nights for families that include board games, bingo, trivia, and even holiday yoga for family and friends. So we want to make sure that our focus through the holiday season is to help our partners make sure that they are reinforcing desired public health behaviors, that we're emphasizing examples of things that we've been able to do very, very well, and things that we can continue to do well. We want to facilitate the sharing of tips and lessons learned. And we want to highlight businesses throughout our city that are following public health guidance and also seeing good results, so that that can then be a platform to encourage other safe behaviors, healthy behaviors in our own personal lives. So there is still more that we're developing in ways that we can help our small businesses. We're partnering with the region's mayors. We are going to send out a letter to our congressional delegation urging them to support additional COVID relief funds, and also to extend the timeline for the millions of dollars in funds that have also already been deployed into our community, and that, quite frankly, are a little bit challenging to get spent in the timeline that we're working with right now. So that will go out. That letter will go out next week. We're also engaging small businesses in some informal needs assessments that might be able to help them up, especially as they need to update restrictions. We are also proclaiming the next 4 Saturdays as Small Business Saturdays. You'll recall Small Business Saturday usually occurs right after Thanksgiving holiday, right after Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. But we really want to extend the emphasis on supporting our small businesses, especially buying local throughout the holiday season. We've also distributed a questionnaire to 9,000 of our citywide small businesses to just survey them and get an idea of what they need and what else the city can do to help them during this time. We are revising a holiday ticket concept to help our businesses citywide. We are relaunching our Order Up Spokane hashtag that we did back in March when restaurants were closed down and they had to rely on takeout service. So we'll continue to do that. We're renewing emphasis on those 10-minute parking zones for curbside and pickup. Those didn't go away, but we're willing to offer more to businesses if they want to have one outside of their business, so they can contact the city and let us know. And then we're evaluating some additional parking help and some options with our businesses so that they could partner and provide some safe retail visits within state guidelines. So just to kind of recap what we're doing, we know that people are hurting in our community, that the virus has many at extreme risk of severe health impacts, but also significant economic impacts, and or both. And that this cannot be overemphasized, though, that public health has to come first. It is our primary goal in everything that we are doing, in the way that we are assisting our businesses, and in the way that we are creating safe holiday plans for the season. So that's what we have. Now a news release is going to come out very, very soon that will also detail the list of activities and the safe holiday plan that I just unveiled here. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Mayor. Amanda Rowley here with CREM 2. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Can you kind of describe a little more in depth of how families can be assured what practices or businesses going to take on to ensure that their shopping experience is safe?
Well, as far as shopping, the only thing that's really changed with some of the latest protocols is the number of people that can be inside the places of business. A lot of the protocols are basically the same, but it's the number of people that our local retailers are allowed to have. And I know that as far as the restaurants are concerned, they have done this before through takeout and curbside pickup. So those are some of the protocols that they will just reenact as they now open their doors in a different way. I have been in contact with some of the restaurants. We've had some new restaurants open up just this past summer, and even in the last month or so, wanting to make sure that they're aware of now how they're going to have to operate. And so that's information that our health district, I know, is sharing with a lot of those businesses.
And could you give a little more information on the skate ribbon? So today was supposed to be the opening. Where are we at with a future opening, and what talks are in place there?
Well, I know we've got Garrett Jones, our Parks Director, on this call. He can probably give you more specifics on that, but we're not able to open it the way we wanted to open it today with the new restrictions. So I know he's working with the health district. So Garrett, if you want to chime in on that, go ahead.
I'd be happy to, Mayor, and thanks, Amanda. Great question. We're actively, in a positive way, working with the Health District on some additional creative solutions around the skate ribbon that add visual cues of spatial distancing. And all our requirements, too, that we're working on are for indoor protocols. So we're going above and beyond and being outdoors. And so we're working on promotional videos, educational videos. So our goal is, and just talking with the health district today, that we'll be able to make a decision before Thanksgiving of next week to be able to announce what that next step is. And our hope, of course, we feel that we can be able to open in a positive and safe way for the public. So more to come, hopefully next week.
Can you say in general, I mean, I guess for families planning their holidays, that's a highlight here in Spokane. So can we already say that we should expect to see maybe less families given access to the skate ribbon at a time?
Yeah, so in our original protocols, a typical year, a capacity of our skate ribbon is around 300. In phase 2, we can, with the spatial distancing of about 300 square feet per skater, we can have a capacity of 50. So think of it as a family, so that's quite a hit, and that's an impact to the public. But think of it as a movie ticket, though, as well. We're going to go all online ticketing is the plan. And so you, as in your family, can sign up for a spot, and how early you need to come down, so there's not huge wait times, and you're able to have that hour time on the skate ribbon. And so hopefully with those pre-sales, that takes away some of that inconvenience that we would not normally see on the skate ribbon.
Thank you so much, Garrett. And Mayor Woodward, if you don't mind, what can folks really expect at this winter marketplace? This is a great alternative option. What should they expect as far as the flow and social distancing?
Well, there will most likely be markers. I don't have the actual specifics, but when I was at Kendall Yards, I know that they had markers so people knew, how far they needed to be from the actual vendor, from people in line. So those were all guidelines that were put in place there. Likely there'll be guidelines very similar to what we'll do with a winter marketplace. And also being able to space everybody out. I mean, that facility, the pavilion in Riverfront Park, is quite large. And so the plaza itself, the central plaza, which is outside, we can physically distance a lot of those vendors. And then we have 2 levels inside that we can do as well. And Garrett might be able to even provide even more details on that as well.
Sure, Mayor. And we've been able to provide maps and exhibits to the health district with the vendors. And we're working with the Fairwood Market that provided that service in North Spokane with the other Farmers Market Association to make sure that we're following these protocols. And what we're pretty excited about, there is no other place in this world that you could have a farmer's market under the lights in the pavilion. And just imagine coming up the promenade and going through the candy cane lane that we're going to have, and the light tunnel on the Blue Bridge, and projections and holiday lights dancing to your favorite holiday song, the Rotary Fountain, during the holiday season. And to be able to do that safely and that you can do in your family groups is going to be pretty special. And we hope this is something too that sticks long term, whether it's COVID or not.
Thank you so much. One last question. Thank you so much. You mentioned kind of looking to the successful events we've already had in the summer months, like the farmers market and 4th of July events. Can you maybe explain what sort of things we learned, positive and negative, from those events? Anyone who'd like to answer that?
I can take that one too. Mayor, I think that, Amanda, the first piece is the willingness for the community to be able to adapt with us and being able to celebrate with us and wanting to do it safely. 4th of July was a huge success. So more to come for New Year's. We hope to kick 2020 out of here with a bang, but more details to come there. And so there's a lot to learn of, each proposal we have might have 7 or 8 drafts and renditions. And I think a lot of it is what we've learned to be patient, stay positive, work with these great agencies, and have a good working relationship. And it's about communication too. I think what we've learned through all the events that we had is to work with the community, share those expectations, share what might look different and might not, and just keep that line of communication open. I think that is the biggest take-home message, is just communication, communication, communication.
And I would add to that, thank you, Garrett, that Garrett is a master of partnerships. He has built so many relationships and partnerships throughout our community, and he is incredibly creative and thinks outside of the box. And that's something that we will learn to do and continue to do moving forward. Because for the 4th of July drive-in fireworks show, it took partnerships with people who were able to sponsor the fireworks, partnership with the Spokane Regional Health District to work through the guidelines to make it healthy, partnership with all the locations that we had throughout the city. So it's about coming together and working together to make sure that we can do things healthy and safely for our community. And that's a huge thing that we've learned from all of this.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor Woodward. This is Mayor Kawash. You talked about that COVID relief you're discussing with the other mayors in the region. What exactly does that look like for these businesses who are on their last thread right now?
I think what I'm hearing is the thing that will help them most is another round of PPP. It's the payroll protection plan, and especially when they're able to follow all the guidance that comes with that. So those become grants and not loans. I think what our businesses need right now are those grants. I think expecting them to go into any further debt with a loan to keep their business open is tough. And I don't know if a lot of the businesses are willing to do that, but we need some more of that type of stimulus relief from Congress, and we'll be leaning on our congressional delegation to push that.
And what is the likelihood that you're hearing from the state that this actually lasts just 4 weeks? And what do the businesses think about that if it does go beyond 4 weeks?
I haven't heard anything from the state about whether that timeline is we're going to be held to that timeline or it's going to be extended. It's much too early. We're only 1 week, not even quite into the 4 week new restrictions. But the one thing that I can ask people to do and ask our community to do is to follow the public health guidance so that it only becomes 4 weeks. If we had to extend this, I think it would be very detrimental to a lot of our businesses. But we need to continue to remind ourselves, our family, our friends, and our community that we need to mask up, we need to social distance, we need to stay home when we're not feeling well, not have those big family gatherings at home. We need to do everything we can to support the health of our community and the economic livelihood of our community. Anybody else?
One last question. How will masks be enforced at the Marketplace Pavilion? Or at the pavilion, excuse me.
Garrett, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, I do. So all our events that we're proposing with the health district, even though they're outdoors, will be asked that, masks are required. So even if, we're able to open the skate ribbon, masks are required. Again, I think it's like the mayor stated so well, it's public safety first. So we want to do everything we can in our power and set the example too of ways to be able to do things safely. And, even though it's going to be more of an informational type of enforcement, hey, could you please wear a mask? We're not going to really have our park rangers out there writing any citations or anything like that, but it will be an informational type enforcement that we'll have on all our activities throughout the park.
Thank you.
This is Doug from Public Radio. Just quick question for Garrett regarding the skate ribbon. You talked about the lowering the capacity. Are you also going to shorten the amount of time that people will be allowed to spend in the skate ribbon in order to be able to maybe cycle more people through it?
Great question, Doug. Yes, so it would be at hour intervals. And again, I just say, this is all contingent on, getting that final guidance from all our local health and state health officials before giving the green light. And then also intervals of 15 minutes. So we don't have a huge influx of skaters coming off the ice after each hour. So every 15 minutes, skaters would cycle off the ice and then cycle in, almost like a tee time at a golf course, as an example, right? So you have full capacity of a golf course, but then you always have ever-changing patrons. So that'll be a similar model that we'll have, so we can get more skaters on the ice and less frequency. And that's also a health measure too, right? So we want to be able to not have a large group of people around a facility for a long period of time.
Great. Thank you, Garrett.
Mayor, this is Luke from KHQ.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Hey, I wondered, the city sounds like they're doing kind of a full court press to bring cheer to Spokane during these dark times. Can you talk for a second about the gatherings that people may be planning or hopefully aren't planning that could undo all the work that we're doing to keep things, that you're doing to keep things safe?
Yeah, when we're talking about the safety of our community and everything that we're doing and planning, we really need to rely on the people who live in our community too, and the kinds of activities that they're having in their own homes and with the holidays coming up. The guidance is that if they're not in your household, you really need to rethink how you're going to do the holidays. I know some people have talked about even quarantining before they get together for the holidays if they don't live within a household. But keeping those family gatherings small and short it's going to be very, very important, because that's where we have found some of the risky behavior and some of the spread that we're seeing in the community has been right after holidays, 2 weeks after a holiday weekend, when families have been together in the backyards or in their homes. That's when we see cases spike. And so I know it's a hard one to think about during the holidays, of not being together with extended family and friends. But I think that's what people really need to make a priority of. It's just being with your primary family during the holidays and not having those big social gatherings, whether it's watching a football game or whatever it is. We need to be extremely careful. We can't afford to continue to go backwards.
Okay, thank you. One other question. Would you say the kickoff to Spokane's holiday cherry season is next Friday?
Cherry season? Is that what you said?
I'm sorry. I don't know what that means exactly, but
no, the lighting ceremony will be great. The Christmas tree lighting ceremony kind of does kick off on Friday, November 27th. Everything that we have planned, I think people need their spirits lifted during this time. And we want to be able to provide safe activities and alternatives for them to do that. And we can make downtown a safe place for people to come. They can come, hopefully, to ice skate very, very soon. They can walk through the park and see all the trees that are lit up and the additional light displays that we have. They can frequent a local business through takeout or curbside. They can do some holiday shopping. There are healthy and safe ways that we can enjoy the holidays with our families. And we want to make sure that we emphasize that it is safe, so that people stay healthy during the holidays and we can continue to progress forward. So thank you, if there aren't any more questions, for listening in and sharing some of these activities that we've come up with. We'll have more details to come on other activities as well. And just have a great weekend, everybody.